That's
Dude,
bad
I got
press.
so many ties to DC basketball. Shit, Len Bias was dating my fucking like it was all kinds of shit. There was a story about after Len died and my I shouldn't have said her name, but my didn't want to give up a
Just bleep
coat.
it out.
She didn't want to give up a jacket that like Len left over, and the family wanted the jacket back. Like it began this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just she's batshit crazy. She flew down to Florida to go see Trump, so fuck her.
But I'm saying, just bleep out the name.
Yeah, maybe. I don't really give a shit about it.
All right. Well, I guess it's good time to start then. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to All Sorts of Sports, episode 52.
52, the
Ray
CC
Lewis.
Sabathia Ray Lewis episode.
CC Sabathia, Raiders fan, my man. All right,
Yankee.
so, yeah, that too.
Like, okay, he's known for being a Raiders fan. Also, he won something with the Yankees. I mean, I'm just
Champion.
All right, since
oh,
we're
did he win more than one too?
yeah, I believe so. Since we're talking about baseball, we got to start off by saying rest in peace, Hank Aaron. Also, it can't just happen today. Rest in peace, Larry King.
That one hits.
It's been a. I mean, they both did.
Yeah, Hammer and Hank, and then
People
probably
still consider him the home run king, right?
some do. One of the best hitters of all time, for sure.
Absolutely.
Great.
And just a good guy. A lot of like all the pictures I've been seeing, especially like what I noticed on Twitter and Facebook were a lot of sports writers and like journalists coming up. He was one of those guys that looks like he had great relationships with them and like helped them along or made sure that they had that sort of reaction. The anti-Barry Bonds, as you will, when it comes to the media in a sense.
Fair.
But good dude. Larry King hits close to home to me because I was a huge fan of his show and a lot of his gas that still bring me quite a lot of joy. But when I heard that he got COVID and was in the hospital, we were talking to Ryan early. You kind of knew what was going to happen because you knew he was up in age, and it was just it just sucks. But look, COVID's very, very, very real still. Numbers are good, 4,000 all the time. It's just we vaccines here. We just got to take care of each other until then.
Yep.
And I think from what I've been reading, Larry King was another one of those guys. Like if you're an up and coming, going to be on TV or radio, it didn't really matter. He was always there to give advice and support everybody. So, bummer.
Yeah.
Good long run though. 87.
Yep.
Good long run.
We're starting at that point in time where all these very, very huge icons are getting up in age. Like me and my girlfriend, we were sitting down and like I was asking her, how old do you think William Shatner is? She's like, I don't know, 89. And I'm like,
what?
How old do you think Morgan Freeman is? And she's like, well, I mean, he's been old for a while, but he's 80. It's like there's all these guys that we've been around and have been. I think what happened in this era of celebrity is that unlike other periods of time where a lot of people died young or what have you, these guys have been with us and been putting out stuff for years.
Mm-hmm.
And we grew up on them and they've just been a huge part of just American culture. Because, I mean, cinema hasn't been around that long if we're looking at the grand scheme of things. And these dudes have been there through it all, whether it be athletes or anything else. And it's just, you become very aware of life. Mm-hmm. Recently, and I know I've been feeling old as shit, looking at Wikipedia and seeing how old this guy is.
Martin Lawrence is 55.
It's like just like yesterday, he's in the fucking House Party movie to me. Like it's just, or like I was watching You've Got Mail the other day. Dave Chappelle's a prominent person in that movie, and he's just skinny old Dave Chappelle. And you look at him, and also hope a speedy recovery for him. And he has COVID.
Yeah.
And you see just how jacked and older he is. Even looking at the Chappelle show was 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's nuts.
And Snoop Dogg is 50.
It's fucking insane, man.
Yeah. All right. So, K-Dot, this part is for you.
Uh-oh.
Well, part of it. I wanted to start it off by revisiting some NBA takes that we had.
Motherfuck you.
So our good buddy Keem, a friend of the show, posted an article discussing Anthony Davis's last couple games.
Last 5.
And how he's been in a slump. Do you want to, talk about it? Like, you said he's going to be the MVP.
No, I did not, you asshole. All right. Number 1, he was 3rd on my MVP list. I'm just going to cut you the fuck off before you start slandering my goddamn name anymore. Look, it might seem like a Weasley thing that I'm doing, but if you check the goddamn tapes, I have not waffled on this. Going into this season, based on a championship and what he did in the playoffs, Anthony Davis, to me, power ranked at number 2 in the league. I said it when Keem was here. My list would change. With each week, my list would change. I said he should come back on the show halfway through the year and then near the playoffs so we can kind of adjust through the list. Right now, no. AD is not number 2 on my goddamn power rankings. But I never said my power rankings were set in stone. So fuck off. All of you that want to continue to bring this shit up. I did not have the takes like Ryan, I should point this way, I think, about fucking Steph Curry. That's not me. I haven't gone that crazy with shit.
Trash.
See? I haven't gone that crazy. And Keem also did have a tweet saying, I haven't heard people talk too much about Steph like they did before after that 62 burger. And I was like, that's true. People left him the fuck alone except for Ryan.
Trash.
But what I will say is that the most important thing that came out of that conversation was what the MVP conversation. And who was my number 1 on the MVP list?
Embiid.
And what is that looking like right now?
Pretty good.
Thank you very much. And number 2 on my list was Luka. Mm-hmm. Still looking good. So I'm saying right now, I'm not that fucking crazy, man. Come on.
Who's number 3?
A guy who won't be there. But here's the thing. Right. If we're talking about most valuable player, look, I get LeBron. He's playing with LeBron. Yeah. They're still winning. They're winning a lot.
Yeah, because they got LeBron too. So even when AD is shit in the bed, they got LeBron to pick up the slack. And then they got Montrezl Harrell. They got a whole bunch of other players.
I'm sorry. I'm getting like 30 notifications back to back. Somebody's going through my entire Instagram, like liking everything.
Oh yeah, I hate when that happens. Yeah, they're doing it just so you look at them and like look at their page and then they fuck off.
This motherfucker looks Indian. His name is Radawin Raj.
Don't give him credit.
He's shirtless with a jean jacket draped over him, and he has kitties around his crotch area.
See, now look, you remember that Netflix movie, Don't Fuck with Cats?
I never watched it.
It was good.
You should watch it.
No.
That dude reminds me of him. Yeah. I watched that. Like, I started it at like 11 o'clock at night. Why would you post? Okay.
I'm sorry. I hate. You can't do this on this camera.
Yeah.
I know it's stupid.
I make fun of James every time
I'll fix that in post. Don't worry. I got editing abilities. We can fix that in post.
Oh, so you couldn't fix my shit? All right, whatever.
All right. Ain't got time for that.
Doing the work. Motherfucker, you got a tribute video at the end of the pod last. We didn't say anything. Congratulations. We still need to make sure we took that.
We said thank you.
No, I know you got thank you, but then you calling me out about editing. I edit for you all the time. Those Death Star things that I insert in the goddamn thing take time. They're all for you.
I wish you wouldn't take time to do that shit, but whatever.
Just saying, you can't have it both ways. All right. Fuck
second one. The second thing is about the Nets and how they're looking so far. Yeah. They lost twice to the Cavs in the past week?
Yeah.
The same thing I've been saying the whole time. Of course they're great on offense, but they traded away all of their defensive pieces
and all of their depth.
Yeah.
Like you got 30 somethings out there expected to play both sides of the court for 2 halves.
Yeah.
One guy is coming off partying for the last 3 months in strippers. And I get it. They lost last night without Durant. Durant's a huge piece.
They lost to that same team with Durant.
Right. But they shouldn't be losing that much to that team. And
the first time they played the Cavs, did they have Kyrie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. He had 37.
Yeah. I'm trying to.
And he had 38 this one.
Came back.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Colin Sexton is balling. But it's the Nets. It's
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
It's the big E, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's assembled. It's just not. Look, and I don't know whether it's just because it's the first couple games, and I get that it takes some time, but they're superstars.
Yeah, but I mean, like what I'm saying is like offensively, they're hitting their stride. Like they're doing good. Mm-hmm. It's just defensively, which it doesn't matter how many like games they come back and play or whatever. Like it's still going to be bad.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I don't know about
they're
that.
Not in shape.
They don't have any other pieces.
But the thing that I'm saying is that like I think I get the defensive side. I've never argued the defensive side. The only guy that they have that's a bona fide defensive player is DeAndre Jordan. That was 5 years ago. So, like, and I even heard he had a quote or something about the game.
No, but he's not. To me, like when he played for the Mavs, right? Mm-hmm. This is before he got traded to the Knicks and that Porzingis deal, right? Yep. My issue with DeAndre Jordan then was all he does is just rebound. He doesn't protect the rim. And he didn't do that when he was with us.
But I'm saying, this is what I'm saying. If we're looking at DeAndre as far as defensive power, we're looking at 5-6 years ago.
I don't remember him being a defensive powerhouse.
He was. Like, you're talking about, he was all defensive first team at least 2-3 years. Like, he played.
You're talking about like when he was with the Clippers.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. It's like 15, 16. So, like, he definitely was that guy. But once again, we're looking at 5-6 years. We're looking at a completely different team than the other teams he had been on. Whether or not they're not necessarily playing to his strengths in any sort of way defensively or anything if he's got no help. So it's like, I get it. I still say that from an offensive standpoint, they're just getting started. They're going to continue to work at it. If there's anything, I'm reminded like some of the, like, even if I'm looking at some of the greatest offensive teams, like in the last how many years, like if we're looking like way back, like Phoenix Suns, like Steve Nash era, but Amari played defense from what I remember. It was like, and they had Sean Marion who played defense or whatever. Like they just don't really have it. But if you're talking about a 7-game series, if you've got to win, can they can you be so on point that you're going to outscore these guys in a game series? I think that's where push comes to shove. It's going to be hard. I don't think through the regular season, there are going to be a lot of times where they're not going to play a lot of good defense, but I think the offensive talent enough is going to be enough to overcome a lot of the other shit.
Here's my issue. Playing Cleveland, who are not, they have some good pieces, but they're by no means a star-studded team, in my opinion. When you have, this is the first game where they went to double OT, their entire bench, when they're on the floor, plus minus are all double-digit minuses. They have to have some pieces in there that they can plug in to play defense. Like the only person with a plus anything was Kevin Durant. It was a +2. You can't have that. When you got to have somebody in there that can stop the opposing team. And if they can't stop fucking Cleveland, what the fuck are they going to do against the Sixers? Not even talking about any teams in the West. Like, yeah, they're going to be in some serious. The Celtics are awful. Holy crap. You watched them play basketball recently? They had 38 points at half, like against the Knicks. They lost to the Knicks by 40.
They barely lost to the Sixers last night, right?
Then they had watched too many games for some reason. Not been clicking.
Okay. Fair enough.
Tatum has been out.
Fair enough. Because I remember
Tatum out the vid.
No, he played last night. It was him versus Joel Embiid. Like they were going back and forth.
Ryan, you look like an oil painting.
Yeah, you do. Your internet is like fucked right now.
Really? It's been doing that recently. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, like all those words were said before your lips moved.
Yeah. And then like you would pause and then like you'd be like this and then like it come back and you go over here and I'm like, yo.
Good. I'll have to figure out what the hell's going on. Because it's been doing this the last couple days.
Oh shit.
Yeah, we're figuring it all out. See, like, I'm just perfect over here. James can't keep his phone away from the computer, and then Ryan's internet.
No, my phone has not been near the computer.
I know, good job. That's what I said. We're figuring it out as we're going. We're getting better.
Yeah, the Nets need to play defense.
Yeah, and I mean, I was thinking about this when I was watching the game. At this point, you got enough shooting. Like, you might have to move Joe Harris. Like, to me, he's like the only person that could get somebody defensively competent back.
Everyone is on the table except for those three guys. Like, at the end of the day, and even Kyrie should be on the table. But, like, at the end of the day, don't get it twisted what I'm saying. He can't be on the table. Here's what I'm saying. Don't get it twisted what I'm saying. I expect the Nets to fail. I do. And I think anything other than the championship is a fail. I already think they failed, and I think they will fail. Yeah. But I do not want to sleep on the fact that I have not seen this much offensive talent on a goddamn team. I have it. Like, come on,
Golden State.
Let's look straight up. So when KD was playing for Golden State, would you say KD was the best player on that team?
Yeah.
Do you still think KD, if you're looking at Clay or Steph, was the best player out of those three?
Yeah.
Is Harden or Steph better?
Steph.
Is it a huge?
I'm like, if you're talking about offensive,
just offensively,
Steph.
I would agree that Steph's better, but I'm trying to figure out the because I think Golden State's the only team that I can really talk about in this.
Steph is better just based on the fact that he doesn't need to take a million shots. He doesn't need to dribble the ball the whole time.
So I think what it boils down to is if we're looking at the two big threes on both of those teams, right? Mm-hmm. So it's better offensively, KD, Clay, and Steph versus Harden, Kyrie, and KD. KD was better then than he is now. Yeah.
Because he wasn't injured.
He wasn't injured. Even though he doesn't look like he's injured.
Yeah, but I'm saying he didn't have that injury already.
Nah, I mean, I relent that point. Yeah, Golden State was a better offensive team.
And then Golden State
played defense.
Right. And they had Clay who played defense.
Clay who played defense. Draymond who could play defense. Iguodala who could play defense.
Yeah. And then even before that, before KD got there, they had a whole bench.
But hold on, defensively and bench, it's not comparable. But I'm saying that, but we're looking at that Golden State team, and I would admit that they are a lot better if you're looking at both facets of the ball. Mm-hmm. Just offensively,
it's sexy to look at.
Very.
Yeah, but at the same time, what do they always say since we were kids? Defense wins championships.
Yeah, I mean, of course.
If you can't get stops,
I absolutely subscribe to that philosophy. It's one reason I don't think that.
It's kind of like if you just shoot, if you're shooting 50% from three, but the other team's shooting 100% from two,
don't get it twisted. It's the same reason I didn't want Ben Simmons to go for James Harden.
Yeah.
I get it, but it's.
I wanted Ben Simmons to go to the Rockets because I wanted Silas to get a better fair shake than what he's getting right now.
I don't hate that team. They're just not. That West is too loaded, but I don't hate that team at all.
No, but I'm saying Silas's first head coaching gig, he has to deal with all this shit, and it's
the shit's gone. It's fine. I don't feel bad for him anymore.
Also, the Celtics lost by 12.
Mm-hmm. All right, yeah, I relate my point. Sorry. Right. Brooklyn, if they get it all working, I just think Kyrie's got a different.
But they don't have the pieces to get it working.
Yeah,
it's just them three. Nobody else can contribute. It's just them three.
I mean, Joe Harris, but he's been off lately. But he's a better shooter than all of them from three.
Nobody sacrificing anything for him compared to the other three, though.
It's true.
What do you mean?
I'm saying that they're not going to sacrifice getting touches to Kyrie. Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he's just going to be sitting there wide open, the best 3-point shooter on the team. There you go.
No, but that's the thing. They need to move him.
Yeah, or they can just try to outscore everybody. We'll see.
Which is where I go down to. If I'm them, I'm like, you're just shooting. Just shoot.
Yeah.
Just keep shooting.
That and try to find a trade to get a fucking defensive player that doesn't play offense at all, just defense. And then you have him on the court at the same time as Joe Harris.
They lost to Kyle twice.
Yep.
I did see the video the other day of the when Colin Sexton was back in college. You remember he's at somebody shooting free throws, and the guy, the opposing teammate, like tries to stare him down. Colin sees it, bends down and looks right in the dude's face, and the dude just kind of scurries away. See, it's a cold. When you see that vid, you will say, "I'm a fan, Colin Sexton." Like you were a fucking monster.
I was a fan of him when he got drafted by the Cavs, and he's like they're interviewing. He's like, "Hey, LeBron, let's win a chip," and then LeBron goes to LA. That shit was fun.
But Sexton's a dog. He's a dog. The same way that like a lot of these the Dames, I'm not saying he's there yet. Well, maybe the Dames and he's not the Dames and the Jimmy Butlers, but he's a dog.
Mm-hmm. And also, like, since we're speaking on that, I like Donovan Mitchell's interview when Shaq, when Shaq was like, "Yeah, like I just don't think you have it in you to get to the next level," and he just responded, "All right."
But you see what Shaq was doing, and you can see that even he didn't take offense to it because he saw what he was doing too. He's like, because he agreed. He was like, "Look, I know I've been hearing that my entire life. I'm just trying to get better."
Yeah, and Donovan Mitchell don't give a shit what Shaq thinks.
I disagree with that. I think a lot of people actually do care.
But you know what I mean, though. Like,
he's not going to show it.
He's not going to feed into it.
Yeah,
like,
but
I don't think Shaq
as soon as that's over and he's walking back to the locker room, he's thinking about what Shaq said.
Yeah, sure, of course.
Shaq said, "You ain't shit," and he said, "Eh."
We'll see.
He didn't say he wasn't shit. That's the one that if people are overhyping the Shaq thing, like he called him like this bum ass.
Also, Shaq talks
if
trash.
He was a bum, but if he was a bum, Shaq wouldn't have said shit to him.
Shaq talks trash. It's what Shaq does.
The only time Shaq said stuff to, I think a small point was trying to get him better, but then beyond that, it's just I think hatred was Dwight.
Nah, do you remember the Eric Dampier? Yeah, that was bad. And as a Mavs fan, that was bad. It's like, yeah, like I can't even name like if I have a son, I can't name him Eric now because I'm just gonna think of people calling him Erica.
That's a shit name anyway, especially if you spell it with a K. Fuck that name.
For CK.
That's a throwback right there, Mauricio. If you're watching.
Yep.
I know you're not.
All right.
So busy getting tattoos and eating llamas.
Before we get into
it's good meat.
The NFL portion of the pod, I do want to talk about it's been an ongoing thing when teams have to deal with COVID and their issues. So K-Dot, now it's your team that's in the fire. You too, Ryan. The Capitals. Y'all not gonna say nothing?
I'll let Ryan take it.
Look,
I want to hear from both of you.
I'll have my say.
Okay.
I understand each league has its own COVID rules and regulations. If you break them, you face the consequences. I'm not sure if you're playing with each other on the court or on the ice, and you're staying in the same hotel, why teammates gathering in a room to hang out with each other is a violation of their COVID protocols. It is, obviously, but they practice quarters, they hit each other at close quarters practice, and to have them out for 4 games because these guys who are already around each other all the time, hotel room that they're already in, it seems a little soft, but I get it. Look, you break the rules, you get fined, and you lose your start for a couple games. Those are the rules. And I'll bring this on Fight Island this week. A guy took off his bracelet, and his team took off their bracelets, gave it to other people on Fight Island to come into their hotel. Dana White canceled his contract. He's no longer part of the UFC. Done. Out.
So I only have about 2 seconds.
Ryan, I got an American Online disc for you to use. All
right. So my question is, on the video, is that going to be like how we saw it?
Yeah, 100%. So, yeah, Zoom just takes exactly what we're saying. But no, I got most of that out. In with the example as far as Dana and what he did as far as bringing in a hammer makes total sense. I think what you're having the situation is with the Caps, at least from what I've heard about the story. I don't know all the details yet. From what I've heard, it becomes this thing that I've always talked about, which is that it's just slippery slope and it's insidious. There are certain things like Ryan says, it's not a giant leap of logic to think, hey, I'm around these guys when we travel. I'm around these guys in the locker room. I'm around these guys everywhere. I think we're kind of in this bubble. I should be able to hang, like, I want to hang with somebody. Let me hang out with the guys I'm going to be around anyway. But then you start looking at the science of it. All right, it's 15 minutes in close quarters, whether or not you're wearing a mask, whether or not you're moving, whether or not you're doing this, the amount of air circulation, ventilation, all. But you can't really blame somebody that hardcore for making that, because it's not a huge leap in logic to think I'm around these guys, they're clear, right? You even look at the Biden administration. Biden comes up with a law. One of his first executive orders is on federal mandated property, you have to wear a mask. But we all saw the first night of when he gets into the White House, this whole family's coming into the White House. They're with him somewhere in mask. And it's like, all right, well, if I'm quarantining with these guys, am I allowed to do this, that, and the other? What if that person goes out and they come in? So, yeah, I get it. There are rules that they need to follow. They're getting fined. They're suffering the ramifications of it as is. I don't think it's as crazy as somebody ordering wings from a strip club and expose themselves, or going to a club with a bunch of people without masks and doing something that's just outlandish. I think they thought what they were doing was controlled.
What about being on the sideline?
See, that's the other thing. It's like when I'm watching an NFL game, how many times do you watch an NFL game? I'm like, what are the rules?
You remember you did the same to John when he was sitting on the sideline without a mask.
Because to me,
the mask was like.
But see, that to me is the example aspect. And the thing was that it was a big thing that I fought against early on, until I'm looking at the sidelines of all these NFL games, and the players, when they're coming off the field, there's the time that they get, I guess, to breathe or to drink the Gatorade or anything without their helmet or without the mask on. And then they finally put the mask on. Then I see some of the players with the mask down here. Then I'm like, I don't even know what you guys are doing. I don't know what the rules are anymore.
All right. So did your stance change? Because like when we talk about this now, it seems more so that you understand that if you break the rules, you get fined and all this other shit. But
yes.
Your discussion is more towards the rules in place in comparison to before, when it was, you know what I mean?
My point is that if you're going out of your way to flaunt against the rules, I think you deserve, there's a special amount of punishment that you get for that. In the sense of, like, when I'm looking at the coaches on the sidelines, there is no reason a coach shouldn't have their mask on the entire time. You're not out there playing. If you want to drink, you can take your mask down and do that for a second. These guys are not needed to. There's no circumstance in which the mask needs to come off for these guys. I understand being a player.
Say creature of habit. So.
Regardless, but here's the thing: creature of habit. Look, if the speed limit changes or they put a new stop sign up at a street that I'm used to driving down, if I run that light because I'm on autopilot and the cop pulls me over, shit, I'm sorry, I didn't see the light, but I expect to get punished for it. So my thing is that when I was looking at John Gruden or some of the other coaches where you could just outright see they made a conscious decision to say, fuck it. That to me was a little different.
What about Andy Reid last week?
I have a problem with, like, that's the thing is, like, anytime I see
you saw what he did, right? The shit was weird.
What?
Cut a hole out.
And Andy's been like, I used to give Andy a lot of credit because, like, he was using the face shields before everybody, and he was doing what he needed to do to get. I'm just saying, as the season's gone on, and the more I think they've been lax with certain things, I think the NFL at this point is like, as long as nobody's going out of their way to do anything, or as long as nobody's messing with like our Super Bowl dollars.
Right. And it's like, at this point, it's only 4 teams left. So fuck it.
Right.
But if one of those teams all of a sudden has COVID,
they got 2 weeks to prepare for the Super Bowl. So fuck it.
That's kind of where I think the league is at. Because if you really start looking at all the rules, like, the only way to verify and to confirm that this is not the case is that if you do full-blown bubble or fight island quarantine. And if that's the case, hang around as many players as you fucking want to. Because the
NBA needs to do that. The NBA needs to do that at this point. There's been way too many games postponed.
It's not going to happen.
Even look at the Wizards. Like,
it's not going to happen
because
The players won't.
The
fault.
NFL
Players won't
set a
do it.
precedent. The American people are willing to accept this shit.
Yeah.
This is where
But-
we're at.
But games weren't like that many games in a row weren't postponed.
Doesn't matter.
I mean, hold on. If you think about it, the amount of games in the
It's-
NFL in comparison to the NBA.
It's not comparable, especially in the breaks you get between games.
Yeah.
You get enough time and enough opportunity to do it. So if there was any sport that could say "fuck it," it was them.
Yeah.
Even though what they were doing
NBA
was
can't
so
do
wrong.
that.
Right?
And
That's what I'm saying. Like the Wizards haven't played
It's
since
too late. It's
what,
too
2
late.
weeks now?
But
It's
they're
too
not
late
going
for
to
them to do it.
look. If the entire point of this season is to get everything back on track for next season, which means they're not going to pause. They're not going to postpone. They're not going to do this shit. They're going to bum rush through.
So how does this work for teams like the Wizards who haven't played in about 2 weeks now?
They might look. There's still probably enough time between the end of this season and next season where they might schedule a push back some of the playoffs. Maybe have some teams make up stuff. Maybe I don't know. Is there talk about there being a playoff bubble? Like
But
what?
listen what I'm saying though. Like for in the Wizards case, right? They missed so many games. That one team missed that many games. How does that affect all the other teams who played all their games?
They're going to basically say, fuck it, we'll figure it out at the end. They're going to bum rush through it. It's the same thing in the NFL. How many weeks do we come in here on the podcast?
Like they
and
might
figure
just
out-
do the winning percentage.
How many times a week sit here on the podcast and think about how many times Pittsburgh got fucked over?
Yeah.
Or how many times? And what they do, bum rush through. Do I see any Pittsburgh Steelers fans with picket signs outside of Goodell's office?
No, because they were really bad.
Washington broke them, but okay.
They were bad before.
So since we transitioned a little bit to football, let's get started.
Guys, it says my internet connection is unstable.
It is.
Yeah.
We're aware.
You guys, you guys have to finish this one without me because I don't know if this is going to continue to work.
How can we finish without you? If you leave,
Not gonna-
doesn't it end?
Oh, yeah. Can I turn off my video? All right, we'll just bust through it. It's COVID.
Yeah.
Peter's got COVID.
All right.
Or you could
So-
we'll clear it for you to make a point if you want to make a point and see how far you can get through with it. But
Okay.
Yeah.
as long
Right.
as you're like talking as we're talking and then it jumbles up or whatever, like I think that you're good.
Yeah.
Huh?
All right.
But
That's
So-
the best your internet connection has been this entire pod was when you
Actually, yeah, and you wasted it.
shit.
You wasted all your goddamn bandwidth and bullshit.
I'm gonna
All
try not to move.
All right, cool. Yeah. All right. So we touched on this a little bit last week, but there has been more developments in terms of the NFL coaching hires. There's only one job left now, which is the Texans. And nobody really wants that until they figure out what's happening with Deshaun Watson. So
Which in turn won't be figured out until they figure out who the head coach is. So
Yep. It's just a stalemate. Or unless one of these other teams makes a move for him. So I want to go through the coaching hires that have happened so far. And I was looking up, like, you know how they have like grades of hires since it's been so many of them so far. I'm going to go from what they call like best to worst. Okay.
Okay.
So the first hire that they said was the best was the Jets with Robert Saleh.
Yep.
How do you
Definitely
guys
agree.
feel about that hire?
Of the hires, it is the best.
Okay. And what do you think he'll bring to him?
What I think he brings is that
Sure.
you're talking about a full-blown players coach with guys that will run into a burning building for the man.
Yep.
He has an ability. He's one of those dudes whose name has popped up along the same lines as Bieniemy from a defensive standpoint. The last 3-4 years is being, all right, this guy needs a shot. And I also give credit. He's I forget what his background is. Is it Lebanese or something? I forget what his background is. So hooray for another minority hire, in all honesty. But I think when it comes to that team, there's a lot of things that need to get reworked. I still think Adam Gase was the biggest detriment to that team as far as offensive scheming. When you lose guys like Jamal Adams, it becomes an issue. Is Leonard Williams even still on that team, or I think did he go to New York, the other New York team?
Yes.
Yeah. So like they're in that stage of
They
rebuilding.
got Quentin Williams though.
You know, I'm not saying. I'm just saying that there's certain guys that they had and are gone now.
And May.
But another thing that he does is that, look, The San Francisco defense, they have some good names on that defense, but you have guys, regardless of wherever they got drafted, play hard. And that's the thing, is that you want to be one of those teams, regardless of how many big names you have, that offense is going to feel you. And he's going to be one of those guys that I think that's going to make a lot of sense. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they've had any announcements on what they're doing on the offensive side yet.
No, of course they're not going to announce that, because
offensive coordinators or hires or things.
Oh,
like,
okay.
I'm trying to figure out.
Quarterback.
No, I'm trying to figure out who it is they're going to position to put on the offensive side when you got a defensive-minded coach. I like to see them hire somebody that has a lot of ideas or schemes on offense and can really run the show.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're offensive coordinator, you probably wait to figure out, or you be in talks with them to figure out if you're keeping Sam Darnold or you're going to trade him to the Texans.
You're going to be part of that process.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the next one is the Falcons, and they got Arthur Smith, who was the Titans offensive coordinator, I believe. Yeah. How do you guys feel about that one?
I mean, I don't know enough about the guy. I know the Titans had a good offense, but I don't really think that's where the troubles lie for the Falcons. So,
I mean, with Arthur Smith, he was the Titans offensive coordinator, like we said, but I mean, they did have Derrick Henry.
They had Derrick Henry, but there's a lot of other things on the offense you got to realize too, especially the last couple of years. Number one is that he wasn't just the offense coordinator. Before that, he was the tight ends coach. And as a fantasy football player, there's one thing that I do know, which is that if you draft a tight end from Tennessee, they were going to get their fucking numbers. So that, to me, is something. He was a defensive interim administrative assistant at Ole Miss. He was a defensive quality coach for Washington in 07 to 08. So we're talking about
how was your defense then?
That was Sean Taylor's last year. You're talking about the going into the years of the London Fletcher and everything. We had a top ranked defense, so he learned a lot. I'm hoping at that stage. When I look at his resume overall, I'm saying he's got some pieces. Usually, traditionally, you want to see some guy who maybe been a coordinator in the league for a while, but if you're going to try to take a shot on certain guys, all right, I can see it. Tennessee's offense with Ryan Tannehill, who's shown flashes of being a top 5 quarterback and also shown flashes of being a fucking draft bust, he got what he needed out of him. I understand having Derrick Henry on that offense is insane. But if we're looking at Atlanta's offense, other than the Derrick Henry bit, which is huge, again, put the team on your back, Derrick Henry, Matt Ryan, Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones. That to me is, if you have somebody that can understand and know what they're doing on the offensive side, those 3 pieces alone should net you something.
2 of those 3 probably won't be there.
Maybe, but that's the thing, is I don't know. Does it Arthur Smith hire in the eyes of a Matt Ryan and a Julio Jones with seeing what it is that happened previously? The offense, once again, was never really the issue with them. They were always clicking on offense.
I mean, I felt from everything that I've heard and from what I sensed from the Falcons, they didn't get enough out of the pieces that they had. And at this point, you're better off trying to move Matt Ryan and Julio Jones.
But if we're talking about at the end of the day, we're looking at, when was Atlanta in that Super Bowl against
was the Patriots?
How many years
4
ago?
years ago?
Oh, 2, I thought.
3, maybe 3?
2 or 3.
2 or 3. Where they blew the 28-3 lead. Wasn't Matt Ryan's fault, wasn't offense's fault. When you're looking at what was happening this year with the blown leads, if you score 28 points on offense, your defense has to stop the other team.
Okay, now let me ask you this question: if you go out there and you go 3 and out, and then you put your defense right back on the field,
I don't think that was the case.
That's not
the
what was
case with
happening,
Atlanta
though.
was field position too.
Okay.
If you're starting every drive within your own 20, 25, how many times are you going to march down the field 75, 80 yards? Unless you're Patrick Mahomes doesn't have to do that. Tom Brady doesn't have to do that. You have a defense that can get you the ball back at least with some sort of good field position. Have any of you guys watched that goddamn video that I told you to watch about the 2010 San Diego Chargers yet?
No, fuck the Chargers.
Here's the point. The point about that Chargers team They were the number ranked defense and the number one ranked offense in the league. It wasn't even close. Their entire season, they didn't make the playoffs because of special teams.
Yep, and fuck the Chargers.
And you can boil it really the entire season down to 4 special teams plays.
Great.
Fuck you. You start realizing.
Fuck the Chargers.
I get it. Just take your bias hat off for a second.
No.
The
hat's
angle
right here.
The angle of Atlanta that I've always seen was a team that crumbles, especially on defense. Matt Ryan doesn't turn the ball over a lot. They don't get a lot of fumbles. Julio doesn't drop the ball a lot. Calvin Ridley does not drop the ball a lot. They got guys.
Well, with I hate how they use Julio Jones in the red zone, but that's another topic.
Yeah, that was all. I've always had an issue with that too. You got a dude of that frame and that size, and they could play him so much more physically at certain points and certain things.
Maybe you bring in a stellar
maybe not at this
offensive
point.
coordinator to change that.
I mean, I feel like that's what they got Arthur Smith for, but we'll see.
We'll see. Who else is on the head coaching list?
The next best hire they had listed was the Jaguars with Urban Meyer.
Yeah, I think we've waxed enough on that.
Yeah,
He's the right guy for what they have to do, which is rebuild with basically nothing.
Yeah. The next best one after that is Brandon Staley with the Chargers. Yeah. I don't like the hire, but I'm glad the Chargers got him.
Rams had the number one ranked defense, I think, this year. Once again, not a thing I hate. It's one of those things that are just kind of, I don't know.
Let's see what else you do.
Right.
The one after that is Nick Sirianni for the Eagles. They listed him there because they were talking about how Frank Reich, he was the Carson Wentz whisperer, and then they got like his understudy. But they're like, all right, so you're hoping that you can fix Carson Wentz? Good luck.
He's gonna.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot more that comes out, I think, about what's going on in the Philadelphia organization ever since that Week 17 game against Washington.
Well, the funny thing is, they said that Nick doesn't really have like the coaching pedigree.
Yeah.
He doesn't. He's a yes man.
Right. That's what they were saying. They were like, yeah, like Howie Roseman. I think that's his name. They were like, yeah, they just hired him to push him around.
Which we had the conversation as far as tanking when it came to when they played us, and I was saying that, I don't think this is a Doug Peterson move by himself, but I also don't know what the ins and outs of it are, because I know Howie has a lot to do with the way that team functions, and I know Jeffrey Lurie trusts Howie on a lot of shit. And you get the sense after all the reports of Doug Peterson basically like, I don't like being told what to do. Get me the fuck up out of here. So, look, as a Washington football team fan, I know a lot about meddling GMs, Vinny Serrato, Dan Snyder, about them having yes men or trying to install head coaches that aren't going to have backbones. That's why you had the Mike Shanahan deal when it came to Washington, and we started kind of trying to change the time just a little bit. But even then, he couldn't stop them from doing certain things. So it might be one of those situations where we look back on it, and Doug Peterson was like, I ain't dealing with the meddling bullshit. I ain't dealing with any of this stuff. I'm out. Mm-hmm. You got a problem with me tanking, not tanking, whatever? Fuck you. I'm out. I want to be the guy in charge.
Yep. All right.
Eagles are going to be awful.
The worst hire so far is the Lions with Dan Campbell. Did you guys see his interview?
Bite kneecaps. We're going to bite them. We're going to bite them on the way back up when they hit us. And we're going to go down. They're going to get it back up. Yeah. That dude is a crazy person.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about him. Seems like a real rah-rah guy.
Yep.
But the Lions are fucking terrible. So they could have put a piece of cardboard as a head coach and probably turned out with one more win next year.
I feel so bad for Matt Stafford.
Matt Stafford's probably gone.
I think to Washington,
or to New England.
Either or would be a wonderful place for him to end up, not just away from goddamn Detroit.
Or the Texans. Ooh.
Deshaun Watson is going to Detroit 0 times out of 100.
There's no chance.
It could be like a 3-team trade.
Nope. Deshaun won't let it happen.
If it's somewhere
Deshaun's going to say, if there's an article written about any transaction I'm involved with Detroit in the title, no. So, right? Don't put me in that city in the same.
At the end of the day, I hope he goes where he wants to go, and
he will.
I hope he goes where he can win. And where that isn't?
Detroit. All right.
No, the Dan Campbell thing, especially coming off the Matt Patricia thing, where it's like you get this character sort of guy. And when I say character, it's not like integrity character.
He's a football
it's,
guy.
I'm a character.
Football guy.
One of those rah football guys. It's just.
We'll see how it works. But all right.
But
so
here's one thing I wanted to say about the NFL coaching hires, though, which is where if you look at the Eric Bieniemy thing, which I think is everybody's sort of that's the one thing that we compare to a lot of stuff is why he doesn't have a job yet, and maybe he gets the Houston job just because of who's out there.
At this point, he should just stay in Kansas City.
I said like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I didn't think he was going to get a job this go around. Remember? And I actually think that if I'm in his shoes, I don't leave Kansas City, not with Patrick Mahomes or anything. Yeah. Stack it. But here's one thing that I did want to realize, that I did want to note. I'm looking through a list of all the NFL head coaches. Mm-hmm. I'm looking through and seeing who's been on a team longer than, let's say, 5 years.
Okay.
Andy Reid, Mike Zimmer, Bill Belichick, Sean Payton, Mike Tomlin, Pete Carroll. That's it. I think I named 5. 27 guys have not been there more than 5 years. Okay. If I'm looking through this list, the amount of 2018, 2019, 2020 hires, then I also think that if you were to look at, let's say 2017, and let's look at NFL starting quarterbacks and the landscape there, quarterbacks that aren't playing on the teams that they played on back in 2017, I've never seen this much turnover in the NFL. It's getting to a standpoint where it's getting kind of weird, and people are looking for that quarterback. I think a lot of what you're looking at is that quarterback head coach combo when they draft, and then if it doesn't work out after a few years, they're just saying fuck the whole thing. But it's insane if you start looking at it. I've never seen it like this.
So when do you think is the next crop of, like they had the QB classes? Like last year was a QB class, like a good one.
This year is going to be a good QB class too.
And then when you think since there's only one job left and there's 2 people that, in my opinion, should have got head coaching jobs this year. Mm-hmm. Your offensive coordinator, Ryan, and the Chiefs offensive coordinator.
Look, why?
So
why? If I'm either of those people, why the fuck am I going anywhere?
You're going to the Texans if Deshaun Watson stays.
Right, but why would I want that uncertainty? Why wouldn't I stay and be very good at my job and have the chance to win titles as opposed to going to get a head coaching job where I'm fired after 2 years because the team's a piece of shit?
I mean,
you know who has the ultimate job security right now? The enemy. He could be there for the next 15 fucking years and win a whole lot of Super Bowls. If he goes to Houston and then Watson leaves and they suck, he's homeless in a year.
And I'm saying, you look at the turnover.
I mean, in terms of NFL home.
But I'm saying,
he's gone.
You go back to be offensive coordinator, like how Patricia went back to New England.
You can do that, but you also have that failure now on your resume when you're trying to go get the job again.
Yeah, but if you're a coach, you want to be a head coach.
How do you know that?
I don't know. There's certain guys there's certain guys that even if they want it, they shouldn't have it. Like my number one name that I usually look at is Norv Turner. Norv Turner was probably one of the greatest offensive coordinators of all time. The motherfucker can't head coach to save his goddamn life.
But did he want to?
Yeah.
But see, that's the thing is that I think it's those circumstances where we put the pressure on these guys that they're supposed to want to move up to the next thing.
Now, I would understand that if that only happened one time, if he was a head coach only once.
But there's certain guys that they get the stink on him. Josh McDaniels. After he leaves the Denver deal, there's stink on him. Then what came when he changed his mind, which ruined it. I mean, I still think that a lot of people still want him around somewhere. I know his name's been popping up with a lot of things, but I don't know. But what I also say is that as much as we're criticizing a lot of these guys who don't have, we're looking at their resumes. Who's the NFL coach of the year this year?
Stefanski?
Stefanski was an offensive coordinator 1 year.
So was Anthony Lynn.
We're looking at the Sean McVays who had success after he was here in Washington. I love Sean McVay, but he didn't really have all that much resume or pedigree. I think the way that we're looking at these head coaching jobs,
he had the cosign that you needed at that point in time.
But these guys are getting the cosigns too. Like my thing is that right now I think
cosign Dan Campbell.
Detroit's just stupid. But I'm saying right now.
Wait, doesn't Fred like Detroit? No, he likes Chicago.
Chicago. Right now, you're seeing a situation where what we usually contemplate for what makes a great head coach is just changing. And I think with the turnover that we're seeing with head coach, look, there went that period after McVay and Shanahan where everybody wants that young, hot, all right, we need this guy. And there are a couple years of that. And here's the thing, there's been some guys that have success with it.
But that started well before that anyway.
There's always a trend. The NFL is the most least original, other than baseball, the least original people ever. It's just doing the tried and true way, regardless of it's like watching fucking Moneyball on repeat with Billy Bean. Huh?
Even going back to John Madden, when he was young as hell, he became a head coach.
With Joe Gibbs. Joe Gibbs was a young cat when he first got the job. Like, and everyone, what are these guys doing? Hey, you need somebody that has this, that, and the other. Nah, would you do something different?
What's the GM you hated?
Vinny Serrata?
No.
Which one? I had a lot of GMs there.
For your team that was recently let go. You were pissed off at him like
Bruce Allen.
Yeah.
John Gruden's boy until they had a falling out.
So yeah, like he was a go-between between him and Al. That's why that worked for so long. But
until it didn't, and then John wants nothing to do with his ass.
Mm-hmm. For good reason.
But I'm saying, if we're looking for there's no. I want Bieniemy to get a shot because I think he put the time in. Mm-hmm. That's me.
But
there's no recipe. Situation. There's no recipe saying that he's going to be successful.
Yeah.
There's no knowing that, and I see people looking at. Well, we got a guy like Stefanski who's the hot young thing, but he's shown flashes of this. He's a smart dude. Let's go do this. Matt LaFleur's team is still in the playoffs. I think it might be older than Matt LaFleur. Like, it's...
Yeah, I mean, go with what's working. I mean, Bruce Allen should have been fired 2010, and they let him just hang on for a decade.
That's because he knew about all the sexual harassment allegations when it came to fucking Dan. That's my prediction right here.
So
we'll never find out
in like 5 years when everything else comes out. All right,
fucking Adam Schefter.
So another thing that happened, Phillip Rivers retired.
Yeah,
he had a great career. I've never heard somebody talk that much trash without using a curse word.
Dagnammit.
Love it. Yeah.
Daggummit.
Yeah. And yeah, I always love like when we played the Chargers and you just hear like on the mic'd up shit, you just hear the shit that Phillip would talk.
Going.
Yeah.
I love that he said, I'm glad that I can retire so me and my wife can finally start a family, and he's got like 15 fucking kids.
And the running joke is we were talking like if you ask any Raiders fans about the Chargers fans, they're like, yeah, I mean, they don't really have any. Like they had a couple, but they all moved to Indy when Phillip left. Because it's not that many.
It's not entirely wrong. Future Hall of Famer. I think he's top 5 in every category.
Now, Ryan,
some people got him
I'm going to ask you about that. So when we were talking about is Phillip Rivers a Hall of Famer, you said he is, but you don't think he should be, right?
It's like Dan Marino to me. He didn't win anything. It's not the Hall of Fame. It's the Hall of Very Good and the Hall of Very Popular. That's how you get in.
So in your opinion, is it more so the shit you actually win or how you produce?
I mean, those kind of go hand in hand. I mean, granted, look, he's top 5 in every category that matters. Passing yards, touchdowns. It's just, if you can't win a ship, it kind of, to me, he'll probably be first ballot, but he shouldn't be. Like he's in there for 17 years.
Peyton didn't win. He won 2, I believe, right?
One with 2 teams, one in Indy and one in Denver.
Yeah, so if he didn't win those 2, would you say Peyton shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame?
It's the same reason I think Eli definitely should be. Eli is not anywhere near as good, but he has 2 championships.
Is Joe Flacco a Hall of Famer? Over Phillip Rivers or over Dan Marino?
He is the tough one because I also think so. Flip did it over 17 years. Joe Flacco had 2 good years and it's shit.
He's also probably one of, if not the greatest playoff quarterbacks of all time. So what I'm asking is that if you're going to, basing your criteria as far as winning championships, winning, I'm saying Flacco's record as a quarterback is stellar. But if we're looking at arm strength, he never had Phillip Rivers. If we're talking about accuracy, could never sniff Peyton Manning's jockstrap.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Or Dan Marino's jockstrap for all that matter.
Yeah, I don't think. To me, no, Joe Flacco is not a Hall of Famer. I'm saying you need all of the credentials. I'm saying Joe Flacco has one and he's missing a shit ton others.
I think that it's the same thing that I don't know if I've talked about on the podcast, but I know that I've talked to other people about. I hate what we classify as a dynasty. I think we had to have this conversation on the podcast. That I think that we are way too loose with the term dynasty, and if we're really looking throughout history of sports, there's only like a handful.
Yeah.
Because I think that you can have a team like I don't think Golden State is anywhere near a dynasty. I think they were great for a few years, but they didn't. They're not the Patriots who did it over a decade, right? They're not the Celtics who won 11 chips. They're like, I don't think those dynasties should ever be compared to some of the other stuff we consider the Chicago
Yankees.
Bulls and their dominance, right?
Old
so
Yankees.
the Yankees, like so. So when you were talking about the Hall of Fame, I think that if we were going into the Hall of Fame, like if it was just a new thing. Yeah, I think the criteria would be harder than it has been over the years. But now that we're here, I don't think that it's as good as I don't think it's as far gone as the Hall of Very Good.
By error.
I think you have to weigh everything.
Right.
There is an element of I think people underrate how hard it is to win a Super Bowl. That's why I think the Patriots have the greatest dynasty ever, is because of how hard it is to win a Super Bowl. You need everything clicking. There are so many times where you get guys that win a championship, but if you look at it, they weren't the best quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
It's just you need to have the entire team moving in a certain direction. John Elway was an amazing quarterback. If it wasn't for Terrell Davis,
What
are we thinking about? What are we talking about John Elway?
Remember Trent Dilfer?
Yeah, but Trent Dilfer, he has a championship, and nobody's saying Trent Dilfer's the reason they won a championship. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying you have to look at everything. I think Joe Flacco is extremely underrated in certain aspects. He is, if you look at his playoff credentials, when it counted, he showed up, which to me carries more weight. Right, it carries a lot of weight compared to the guy who throws for 5,000 yards every year.
Right, Flip Rib was 5-7 with an under 60% completion rate with 16 TDs and 10 picks in the post. To me, that's falling apart when it counts. But he's an Iron Man, 17 seasons.
But I also
Joe Flacco was good for like 4.
But I also know because like you guys aren't, I know James just hates them. I follow a lot of the Chargers teams. Because I've always thought they were
them because we play them. So
gotcha. But how many times have you seen with a Chargers team over the years because of stupid coaching decisions, clock management, special teams, or anything else?
That is cold.
They get fucked, right? Like it's one of those things where you can clearly see they are the better of the two teams. Phillip Rivers might even have a career day, and they still lose because they just know how to lose.
He's not good in the playoffs.
Yeah, but. How I look at it is
it's the most important and the hardest position to play, and he has failed at it when it counts the most.
The Hall of Famers should be the best players from when they played.
And Phillip Rivers is one of the best quarterbacks. And
right. And look, I'm saying he's gonna get in. I just think
I think he deserves to.
It's just
Phillip Rivers has a better case than Eli Manning for me.
Not for me.
Okay.
Also a journeyman. Iron Man. He had the longest active streak without missing a game. Mm-hmm. He took his team to 2 ships. Look, against the dynasty team. Eli.
You guys you can't make it seem like that was Eli doing all of that.
The defense took.
That's what I'm saying.
The whole
thing about the NASCAR package.
The hardest position to play in sports is quarterback.
Uh-huh.
Eli did it successfully in 2 seasons. He took his team against the dynasty team of our generation.
I'm going to say this again. People keep saying that it was all Eli. Like when you say that, when he took his team, like you make it seem like Eli was the person who did all
Here's the way I break it down. Phillip Rivers and Eli Manning in their prime, you have the opportunity that you're going to put together a team to win 1 season.
Phillip.
Who are you picking?
Phillip.
I'm taking Eli.
I take Phil. And I think it's an easy case to make. I'd take Phillip Rivers. That being said, if I look at their careers overall, I'll take Eli's career over Phillip Rivers' career any day of the week, right? But if I'm looking at if I need a season put together, I'm taking Phil. Like if I need a game, maybe Eli because he's got this just dumbass luck that just works out in his favor.
Yep.
Because you can't tell me the helmet catch. You can't tell me that was skill. Like you can tell me that was great yard, just getting shit done. Sort of.
Well, that was a good throw, bad catch.
And then we forget the Plexico, the following. Look, man, I'm just saying, like if he should have been sacked. When he got out of that sack, he was even surprised he was out of it.
He's like, oh shit, I'm free. He was Antonio Brown before Antonio Brown.
It's not Aaron Rodgers scrambling around making shit happen and then throwing a laser down for a Hail Mary. Like it's
like, oh, they let me go? Hey.
Just lob it up. This is Thanksgiving football. It's just I don't know.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. All right. So
which is why it's the Hall of Very Good.
No. All
right, I think
so
the biggest thing, there's one quarterback in the Hall of Fame more than any other quarterback that I think is a travesty that he's there. Joe fucking Namath. Beyond that, I can make a case for almost any other quarterback. I can't for Joe Namath.
Okay. All right.
Broadway.
Let's
No, and that's why it's also the Hall of Very Liked.
He wrecked the Hall of Fame. He ruined the Hall of Fame.
Hall of Very Liked.
So
right,
we're gonna let's move on to Dwayne Haskins going to the Steelers.
Sucks.
Okay,
love the move. I'm rooting for Dwayne hardcore. He needs to grow the fuck up, and I don't think there's going to be a situation. I want to see it work out for Dwayne. I don't hate Dwayne. I think he fucked up. I'm glad he's off my team, but I think that it was just one of those situations where when we go back to when he got drafted, I talked on this show and I did a guest spot on another show, which I said one of my main concerns with Dwayne was the fact that he was coming home, number one, which is the distraction of everything when you come home. You cannot disregard that, especially when you're a guy who's shown time and time again that he's a bit immature. That to me was an issue. When he was charging people to show up to the bowling alley for his draft and all that kind of thing, there were red flags there. I think the dude has a lot of arm talent. I really do. And I think that if he puts it together, he's shown some flashes on the field of like, he's got raw ability. He just he's not putting in the time as far as studying the playbook. He's not reading defenses.
He's not being a professional.
Exactly.
If he doesn't have that now, he's out of the league in 2 years.
He's been in the league for 2 years. He's a dude. Look, I don't know how many in my personal life I'm one of them that didn't get their shit straight until years after. I'm saying that if he's afforded the opportunity, I don't think he's done anything to not deserve the opportunity.
Right. But
I think Mike Tomlin, and if they hire Hugh Jackson, it could be a very, very good place of them pulling him under his wing and saying, this is how you got to do it, man.
Here's the thing. You're not an NFL quarterback, so your working life does not end at 28. His does. He has a year max to get it together. And from what I've seen, he just had 2 years and multiple chances. And he still wouldn't do any of the work.
He had 2 years. 1 year was with Jay. Sleeping with the secretary and getting drunk in my office.
But you're discounting the fact that he didn't try at all. He didn't try at all.
There were stories that came out of Ashburn that there were moments where we were saying that Dwayne was getting it together. When he lost the weight in the offseason, when he came in, the speech he gave week 1, the fact that he was being the rah guy, but there were a lot of other red flags, which just to me speaks as far as immaturity. But I think that the immaturity, there's one thing if you're being immature and we catch you with a bunch of drugs and guns in the locker room. There's a difference with being this guy, like a lot of these pampered fucking athletes, have been told yes their entire lives. He comes home where he knows the front office, the owner, made it out to get him, even though the team didn't want him to. So regardless of how he's acted, he's been rewarded for it. You're not going to learn until you start to face that adversity. He's now faced adversity. He hasn't had to. Now that he's facing adversity, I want to see what he does. Look, like I said, I'm glad he's not on this team because I didn't think that we're just not for him. He needs a fresh start. He needs to get away from here. I'm hopeful. Mike Tomlin is one of the best player coaches in the NFL. If there's one guy that could potentially pick his ear and say, man, There's a better way to go about this. I trust him. And I also don't think Mike Tomlin's the dude that just does it for the sake of doing it. He does it because he thinks we might have a shot with this guy. I trust Mike Tomlin. I trust that organization more than maybe any other organization.
You think Haskins going to start?
No. But I'm saying that. But what I'm saying is that, can you think of a more perfect scenario than you get a first-round quarterback on the cheap who shows that he has the athletic ability in his arm? Why not kick the tires on that? Especially if you're seeing a guy that just needs to get away from home and to do it. I think if he sits behind Ben for a year, they had Mason Rudolph. Dude. You don't pick up this dude unless you actually think there's something there. There is something there. It's just here.
Ben's not coming back.
Yeah, I don't think Ben's coming back either. But
here's the thing: if Ben doesn't come back, guess who's vying for a starting position in Pittsburgh? Because when he throws the ball, he throws it well. And it's something else that I said on this podcast.
What?
No, I'm saying as far as the look of the ball and everything, like he can throw a football.
He throws it horribly.
He throws the hell out of a football. He just can't read a defense, and he looks down his receivers, which is all things here. But it's like it's the one thing that I always talk about, and I said it earlier in the pod a couple weeks ago. When you're a young quarterback in the league, you're either usually a pocket passer or a scrambler. A lot of times young quarterbacks can scramble to make up for the fact that they can't read a defense. It's what elongates your career to get you to a point where you can learn it. Dwayne's not a runner, which means you have to come in here with this. You're not going to be able to throw the ball hard enough to get past defensive backs if you're staring them down. Your window is that much shorter if you don't have the athletic gifts to run around. Kyler Murray can run around for a bit while he learns to study defenses. Patrick Mahomes can do a lot of things so he can learn to read defenses. Dwayne has relied on his arm for everything. It's not enough. Ask Jamarcus Russell or anybody else that can't get out of the pocket. Unless you're going to read a defense, you're not going to make it.
He's already 2 years where he hasn't tried to learn to read defenses. I don't know how he's going to learn it.
With one coach that didn't give a damn and no real offseason or training camp to study and put it together.
But teammates are blatantly telling him, stop doing this. And he doesn't listen. I'm not doing it. He's
immature. But dude, come on, man. Like, how old is Dwayne Haskins? How old are we? We're still doing dumb shit.
Right, but I'm not an NFL quarterback. I'm good at what I do because I learned.
But you also didn't get rewarded with everything you did. You got taught. When you touched that iron and it was hot, you said, I can't do that again. This is the first time he's faced that.
He was benched for the last year and a half.
He still didn't want to learn. Rid of him. I'm saying the adversity aspect is the first time he faced it. Not to mention there was no one that thought that when he got benched that he was ever going to suit up for Washington again. And no one. Did any of us think that he was ever going to put on that uniform again?
I would place a money bet that Dwayne Haskins is either a backup or out of the league in the next 2 years.
Are you rooting for him, though? That's all I'm asking.
No.
And that's my issue, is that I think that I think it's fucked up not to root for this kid, to get it right. I don't like that. I believe in second chances.
I haven't seen any. He's had like 4, and he hasn't done anything to make me want to root for him. His lasting impression for Washington football team is I'm going to go to the strip club.
And here's what you'll also see on Twitter or anything else. Universally, Washington football team fans are saying one thing above all else. We hope it works out for Dwayne. We don't have any ill will towards the man. We really hope it works out.
I don't have ill will. I just have no faith.
If you're not rooting for him and you're actively saying that he's going to fail, I don't think, you're not a fan and you're clearly not rooting for him. So that's what I'm saying. If you want to put money on that he's going to fail, okay. I'm saying that I'm hoping that he does. I'm hoping that he succeeds.
I'm hopeful he succeeds. I'm just very doubtful.
Fine. That works.
Okay. I'm glad I let all that get out so you guys come to an agreement. Now, K-Dot, I want to give you a couple minutes to discuss the recent WFT hires. Go ahead.
What's my username?
I don't even want to say it.
WFT stands for Woke's Football Team. Thank you very much.
Christ.
We have gone from being the absolute face of being the absolute worst things you could ever want to be as a human being, as a business, as a football team for decades. All I want right now is to know is that when Ron Rivera has come in and the culture that is being changed in that organization is legit, it's real, and I think we are actually setting a standard now across the league. It is universally, everyone around the league is giving Ron Rivera his credit. Dan Snyder so far has stepped the fuck out. I still want him gone. But as long as he is not putting his fingers on this team, dude, you can't argue what we're doing. Head coach, we got our first full-time female and minority female coach. Our GM, our team president, both black. Come on. And here's the thing. And then none of those hires can you look at and say, no, you just gave it to them. They earned them. They earned all of them. And these are dudes that are set up, I think, for success with the way this organization is currently trending. I feel good. The only thing I feel bad about as far as our team is the fact that it looks like we're going to lose Alex Smith, our scout and the guy who was behind the scenes doing a lot of things. He's the one that during the draft. No, sorry, Kyle Smith.
Right.
During the draft for Dwayne Haskins, he looked around the room and said, "What are we doing?" And they're like, "We're drafting Dwayne." And he stood up on a desk, started banging, saying, "We're not fucking doing that. We can't fucking do that. This is a terrible fucking choice." He stood up to all of them. I wish he still had a part in this organization. It looks like he's either going to link up with Sean McVay or Kyle Shanahan, both also people that came from the Washington football team.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I can't argue that. But yeah, whatever. Fuck it.
Look, here's the thing. I'm not saying anything about our past. I very much I understand, but it's right now you can't fault what we're doing.
Yeah, I'm not. But the only frustrating part is like the shit that my org stands for in terms of like the decisions that we have made doesn't seem to hold weight when it comes to all the other shit that I get.
It's because it's the Raiders.
What does that even mean?
Your like team you guys has a terrible haircut.
Okay.
You drafted.
He doesn't hire. If anybody's like convicted or accused of domestic violence, they're nowhere on the team anymore. He hired the first woman CEO. Like he hired the first Latino head coach. He hired the first black head coach.
We're talking about Al or Mark?
Al. You give shit about Al.
I do give shit about Al because I think Al was an asshole. But here's one thing I don't do. I've always said that Al Davis is extremely integral to the history of the NFL and what he did as far as
in a good way or a bad way.
In a lot of good ways. But then he did everything in his power over the course of his tenure to ruin that as far as his reputation.
Ruin it how? Reputation how?
In terms of like an ornery asshole that nobody wanted to be around. And putting together a losing product. Then Mark Davis shows up, and look, Mark Davis, I think is an actual better owner than his dad. And then outside of that, I think Mark Davis, the only thing that I will give Mark Davis,
he bought the ASOS.
The only thing I'm going to give Mark Davis crap for, the same way I gave any organization crap for, was giving John Gruden that contract is one of the dumbest things I've seen in the NFL as far as coaching hires.
Okay, but that's not like something that like you should get killed over more than Dan. I feel like anytime you talk about Mark, say something bad about Dan too.
That's just you feeling and getting all of me.
Yeah, he says bad stuff about Dan constantly.
There's a dude that's now in charge of the social media and like graphic design for the Washington football team, who is a dude that's on Twitter, just been kind of doing stuff. And I was thinking about it, I'm like, I could never have that job because if somebody spent 5 minutes going through my Facebook about the shit that I've said about Dan Snyder, they'd never hire me.
One of my friends from college, anytime the Washington football team would like tweet, this is before you hire Rivera and all this other shit. Anytime they would tweet anything, he would comment. He would be the first one to comment under it, fire Bruce Allen.
Oh, I did the same thing. Yeah. With everything. But that was when I wasn't on Twitter. But Facebook, Instagram was all fire Bruce Allen.
Also,
it was hilarious.
I just want to put this out there. To purchase an NBA team, it's about $2 billion. Purchase a WNBA team, it's about $10 million.
10 million? That's it? Damn.
Smart decision.
I mean, if he makes money.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you get okay.
But here's the thing: is like if it's not to make money, what do you consider? Is it a charity case? Because I don't think it's a charity case.
No.
Right.
No. What I'm saying, it's a smart decision to buy a fucking WNBA team.
If you're making money, there's a reason they're only worth $10 million compared to $2 billion with other things.
All right.
I'm just saying, I don't know what the numbers are. I don't know. I don't know the numbers.
I know, but look, you don't buy it for right now. You buy it for the future, right? Now, you remember in the past, NBA teams were worth that much at a certain point. So it's like, all right, now they're worth billions.
How long has the WNBA been around?
All right, so in the last 22 years, WNBA.
This all just seems misogynistic.
No, I'm just saying they have lost 10 million a year every year they've operated.
Okay.
So 1 year of operation, they'll be worth nothing.
No, you're not talking about per team.
No, this is the WNBA as a whole, as an organization.
So don't laugh. Like, all right, whatever. I think it's a smart fucking hire. So.
I do too, and I'm glad that you have people that are investing in the WNBA. Like I said, I'm not criticizing Mark Davis for buying the WNBA team.
I know. All right, so let's go to our NFL picks. There's only 2, so I don't know if we need to make any changes, but you can if you want to.
I think I picked opposite of both of you guys.
I'm about to say it. The first game is the Bucks and Packers. Ryan, I have the Packers. K-Dot, you got the Bucks. Anybody changing?
Antonio Brown being out hurts me, and I kind of want to switch, but I'm not going against Tom.
Okay. Ryan?
No, I'm not switching.
All right. The Bills and Chiefs. Ryan, you're not changing. K-Dot, do you want to change? You pick the Chiefs.
Definitely not now. He picked that when their quarterback was in question. There's no question.
I don't care. I still think it's going to be what it is. And 45-20, I'm keeping that shit for the Packers. Fuck the Buccaneers. Whatever. I mean, the QB and their organization.
It's not a bad pick. It's not a bad score pick.
Yeah.
Do you hate them because of Al Davis's terrible decision back then?
No.
Okay.
Like, if you could trade a head coach for a couple first-round picks, that's nuts.
Not if 20 years later you regret it so badly because of the way the organization went that you give them carte blanche to do anything you want.
Nah, I think it was the fact if we played any other team.
Hold on, who did the picks turn into?
Super Bowl.
Who did the picks turn into?
I don't know.
Exactly. So
all right.
I'm saying.
All right. So any other trade?
They spent 20 years. Hold on. Tell me if I'm wrong. An organization spent 20 years regretting.
Did you trade for RG3?
Hold on. We're not trying to get RG3 now. I'm saying, did you spend 20 years?
What did you ship for him?
Everything. It was a terrible decision. It was the worst ran organization in sports.
So my issue with the Bucks is the fact that they beat the shit out of us in the fucking Super Bowl. If we played any other, I know. If we played any other team other than them,
to them. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's Al Davis. That's why I give Al Davis shit.
That was a horrible move.
Yeah, hindsight's 20/20. Yeah, I hope you choke on your fucking water, bitch, and then you come back to life.
I gotta pee.
Fuck you and your piss, god damn it.
Well, I got here 30 minutes before you did.
So?
Wrap it up.
No. All right. Final thoughts.
Make up a topic now.
Right. No, I thought about it.
I would have left.
Final thoughts. K-Dot, you go first.
Shit. Can't wait to watch football tomorrow. If I can watch football, because I might be regulated to watching it on my phone while my girlfriend watches HGTV or some shit. I'm in her apartment. I feel wrong about doing anything.
There's 3 games left.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I already said the Super Bowl. We're definitely watching that. I'm gonna watch the game. I'm just gonna.
But I'm saying just 3
I'm
games.
just probably not gonna watch it on TV.
Nah, I see. It's the same for me.
Or I could watch it on TV. There's a second TV in here. I'd rather sit on my phone and with my headphones on. Just tune everybody out.
I can't give you shit because I do the same. All right. I understand. Ryan?
It's not about wearing pants or dresses in a relationship. I like to say we both wear pantsuits.
God, I don't even have to pee anymore. I'm shocked.
Fuck.
God. That was strange. So I have all the sports. None of my teams are playing particularly well, except for the Bills. I am looking forward to tomorrow. Oh, they flexed the Caps Buffalo game to noon so that all the Buffalo fans can watch hockey and then
Smart.
football. So that was cool.
They deserve it.
Yeah, I really don't have that much. Just let's go Bills. I'm nervous. I'd be even more pissed if the Bills ended up in the Super Bowl against Tom Brady and lose. I don't know which one is worse. So, Bills Mafia, let's go.
Everybody wants to see the same thing. We want to see Tom.
Shut up. Shut up. Shut your mouth. James,
All right, my final
congratulations.
thoughts is I have a whole wife out here now.
You got a
It's
whole
nuts.
wife. A
It's
whole
nuts.
one wife.
Yeah. All right, that's all. I
That
had.
photo that you took, were you equating her to the car, or were you saying the car mattered more?
Oh, nah, it's like that was an Instagram photo that we saw a long ass time ago, and it was hilarious. And we've been trying to recreate that photo for like a year now. We just keep forgetting. So at this point, I was like,
Yeah, you had a full photo shoot. Might as well.
Yeah, I was
Do
like,
you
fuck
love
it.
her more than the car?
Yeah,
Just making sure.
Yeah, it's a.
I was
fucking-
supposed to do that when I had the Audi.
It's a Mustang.
That's how long ago I was supposed to do that photo.
Yeah, you've had that car for
Never
over a
did.
year now, huh?
Yeah. So
Damn.
Oh,
All right,
shit.
boys.
I
I've
wish-
had
I
my car
wish
for a
I
year
did.
now.
Hmm?
I've had my car for a year now, which is weird since it's been parked.
yeah, and I have so many fucking car parts just sitting in the second closet that I haven't done anything with. I'm probably
You got your car part closet and your jerk off closet. 2 closets. Big man.
podcast closet, car part closet. I got a spare
Dual
set of
purpose.
tires in there.
Podcast and jerking off.
Whatever.
Come rags.
Love you guys. Do you have anything, K-Dot?
The Death Star. It do go boom.
There you guys.